Greetings and salutations from beautiful Greenville, North Carolina. Welcome back to my channel. Now today we're going to be starting a new series where I actually read some of my manga on camera. Now this is not uncommon. Most manga YouTubers do this. I just thought this would be a great fun way for me to get through my backlog of manga and also to show you guys that I actually read this manga that I do in these monthly pickups. So today we're going to be covering 4 different titles. I'm going to read them and I'm going to tell you what I think about them and I'm going to give them a rating. So one of the first titles we're going to talk about, or maybe not in this particular order, but I have Heroine, Saint, No, I'm an All Works Maid and Proud of It, You and I Are Polar Opposites, Volume 2, Hirayasumi Volume 2, and Tokyo Alien Bros Volume 1. Now this one's the newest book out of all the ones that I'm reading. This one I will probably be talking about in this month's pickups, but I was really excited to read it because it's from the same mangaka who did Hirayasumi, and I love Hirayasumi, so I thought it would be fun to go ahead and read this one as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. If you're feeling especially frisky, let me know that you fucks with your boy the long way, you feel me? And of course, I've done enough rambling. Let's go ahead and see what I thought about these books. Okay, so we're going to start off with Tokyo Alien Bros, which is from the same mangaka who did Hirayasumi, which at least volume 1 was one of my favorite reads. I think we're actually going to read volume 2 today. So let's go ahead and start off with this one. And I think I'll tell you what I think about it after I read it. Okay, just finished Tokyo Alien Bros, and this was a page turner. Very, very good. Now, I will say there are quite a few lewd moments in this. Not quite corn, but maybe some stuff that'll make you scratch your head, especially if you're familiar with Hirayasumi, which seems quite a bit more wholesome than the story. But basically, what it breaks down to is these two brothers, Tanaka, and I feel like his brother's name was not Sutaro, I think. Anyway, they're both aliens from another planet who are sent to scout Earth. One had already been here. He's a talented scout. He's also like good with the ladies, good with everybody. Just a very charismatic guy. And then his brother comes, who's like a little bit clumsy, a little bit grumpy, like whatever. He's just kind of like, what are you doing here? You're just chilling. Like, you know, we're supposed to be scouting Earth and you're around here playing around. And so his whole point is to kind of teach him about Earth, teach him about humans, like show him around or whatever to get him kind of acclimated with the world and see why Earth is so cool. Anyway, clearly he's not getting it, but you can kind of see him warming up to it a little bit. Now, I will say the way that they handle interpersonal relationships with women may be off-putting to some people. I think it can be kind of funny, but also it can be a little concerning. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit when you're kind of seeing this, or, you know, maybe view it as they are aliens, or specifically, I think it's Tanaka. He's an alien, so he's kind of figuring out how to interact with people, but sometimes it's a little bit weird. I will say that. With that said, I will give this one a good 8 out of 10. It was a really good read. It was a really quick read. The art style is very similar to Hirayasumi, so if you are familiar with that one, then you'll probably like the artwork. You will also probably like the storytelling because overall it's just as goofy. It's just very different, a little more adult than Hirayasumi is. Hirayasumi, I guess Hirayasumi is probably how you say it, but anyway, it's definitely a bit more adult than that. Overall, I enjoyed the story. I am looking forward to reading it. Also, this one is only going to be 3 volumes, so a very, very easy read, very easy addition to your collection. So Tokyo Alien Bros, overall, I recommend it. Okay, and speaking of Hirayasumi, I am going to go ahead and read volume 2. I figure since I'm already kind of living in the art style and the mangaka's writing, I might as well go ahead and get through volume 2. So let's go ahead and read Hirayasumi volume 2. Okay, I just finished Hirayasumi Volume 2, and this was excellent. Definitely a little bit better or tighter writing, I should say, than Tokyo whatever brothers, Tokyo Alien Brothers, or Tokyo Alien Bros. Definitely a little bit tighter than that, though I will give it the benefit of the doubt because it is volume one. This is volume two. But man, if you didn't love these characters from volume one, which I don't think there's any way you couldn't, you will definitely love them in volume two. I think the story feels like it's moving along. Like I still feel like it's a story or a story about nothing, the Seinfeld of manga, but you can see some things being pushed forward. You can kind of see the main character kind of finding his love interest in some ways. You can see the other characters' goals getting pushed forward, but I love the way these characters are written. I love their dynamics together. I definitely could relate to the main character. I forget his name, Hiroto. I could relate to Hiroto a lot, of feeling like you are of a certain age, but you still feel very aimless. I feel that way even now. Like I'm still kind of trying to figure out my thing, though his reasoning isn't necessarily because he hasn't figured. I mean, he had a thing, but that thing was kind of causing him pain, which I can relate to as well. I just don't want to do the thing anymore that I have been good at my entire life. I don't want to do it. It physically made me ill. So I can definitely feel his plight. But yeah, this is a great story. I can't wait to read volume three. I think I'll put that off until the next kind of read session. But yeah, if you're not reading Hirayasumi, I would highly recommend to get into the series. We only have 3 volumes out right now. I think the 4th is coming out in the next month or 2. So yeah, hop down on it. Great series. Excellent writing. I think this is perfect for most adults and really younger adults or older teens. This is a great book. Just a great book. Okay, our next book is going to be You and I Are Polar Opposites. And I honestly did not enjoy volume one when I first started reading it, but it kind of grew on me a little bit after I got to the end of it. So I thought that I would go ahead and read volume 2 and volume 3, though I probably won't read volume 3 today, and decide whether or not I'm going to keep reading this series or whether or not I'm going to drop it. Now, volume 1 had some things about it that I liked, some things that I didn't. Mostly, I don't know, the art style's fine, but I think the way that they do panels, and it's hard to describe. I'd have to show it to you, but there were some things I didn't like about it, but there was enough to make me want to go ahead and read volume 2 and not drop the series. So let's spend some time reading this one and see how we feel about it afterwards. Okay, I just finished volume 2 of You and I Are Polar Opposites, and I take everything bad I ever said about this manga back because this shit is a banger. This was excellent. One, I love the fact that it is no longer just focused on the main couple, but we're also starting to see more friend group stuff going on, which is what I like in my little high school romance kind of comedies or whatever. Also, I feel like we got to know these characters a little bit better. I feel like they're not as one note as they were in the first volume. I feel like they're a little bit more layered, which you saw some of that happening towards the end of the first volume, but volume 2 really solidified it for me. This is an excellent book. I would probably give it about an 8 out of 10 if I were to rank it anywhere. 8 out of 10. Really strong showing. I'm really actually excited to read volume 3. And also, I did complain a little bit about like the paneling or something. I still can't really quantify it. And I think I maybe know what it is I had a problem with. There is like a lot of art style switching, which reminds me a lot of Kubo, which I didn't hate in Kubo. But I think there are some really beautiful drawings of the main character, specifically the main girl, her, where you really get a sense of how the mangaka actually sees this character. And I think that kind of put me over the edge too. But also, I think the paneling was a little bit more consistent in this book. Like, I just think there were times when the paneling was kind of weird. There was like a lot of bubbles. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Now, this book is surprisingly dense. There's a lot of dialogue in this book that you wouldn't wouldn't think would be in like kind of a quirky high school romance. But yeah, anyway, great book. I don't want to ramble on too much. Great book. Enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. Also, Hirayasumi, I did not give it a rating. Hirayasumi was a 10 out of 10. That shit was a banger from front to back. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Definitely recommend reading this if you like stuff like Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, The Dangers in My Heart, any kind of high school romance. Those are the first two that kind of came to mind, but there are tons of other ones that you could relate this to. But yeah, good book. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that little intermission, but it's time to get back into the mangas. This time we are going to be doing Heroine, Saint. No, I'm an all works maid and I'm proud of it. Now, I know absolutely nothing about this. Picked it up because I don't know, for some reason I wanted to read some maid books or a maid book. And so I picked this one up. Now, this is based on a light novel. And if I'm not mistaken, I flipped through it a little bit and there is some sections on light novel possibly at the end. We're going to see, but this looks like a pretty quick read, not very thick. Let's go ahead and get through it. All right, so we just finished Heroine, Saint. No, I'm an all works maid and I'm proud of it. And let me tell you, I was very surprised by this story. Now, this is actually an isekai. And essentially, it's a child prodigy thrown into reincarnated into an Atami game. Now, this particular protagonist ended up in this game because she basically was like a maid enthusiast or a maid fanatic or whatever, and she ended up dying on a plane heading to England to get like more like maid training or whatever. So essentially she is like the protagonist literally as the way it's written, but also she is technically the protagonist of this actual game that she got thrown in. But instead of ending up in the situation she was supposed to end up in, because she's such a maid enthusiast, that she just like becomes like a super maid with all these superpowers. It's really, really actually kind of an interesting and crazy premise, because it's basically like power fantasy maid. That's the best way I could put it. It's just like fucking power fantasy maid. Like she is like a super magician that can do all kinds of crazy shit and has literally no concept of how special her abilities are, because all she's concentrated on is being like the greatest maid in the world. It's nuts. It's also like kind of good. I would say the first quarter of, or maybe like the first chapter or two, I really wasn't quite sure if I was going to enjoy this. And by the time I hit maybe like the back half of the second chapter or the third chapter, I was like, okay, I'm all in on this. I'm actually considering reading the light novel of this particular story. It's such an interesting and quirky premise. I've never really read anything like this before. I'm sure something else like this exists. This is probably just the cream of the crop. I will definitely continue reading this because it is like a very refreshing spin on the isekai into a game, like like one of those like novel games or whatever. It kind of has some shoujo elements to it. It's just really, really interesting. Like shoujo, but like romance. It's like all these guys are gonna be vying for her attention. Like every dude that sees her is just like, you kind of bad, but I got other stuff to do because you're just a maid, but you're interesting. And I remember you. It's really, really kind of a crazy concept. I'm kind of in on this. I'm going to keep reading it. I at least am going to give it 2 more volumes to see where it goes. I also might be interested in reading the light novel because, like I said, even though I just flipped through it real quick, there is a section or maybe like a short story or something at the end of it. And it seems like relatively breezy to get through. So depending on how I feel about this after the next two volumes released and I read it, I may pick up the light novel if it is translated into English. I think this is probably going to make for a very interesting anime if and when they ever make it. But yeah, if you are into any of the following things: isekai, power fantasy, maids, romance, and isekai into a game very specifically, I would definitely recommend this because it is like a quirky and kind of funny premise. It has a narrator and everything. Anyway, I probably talked about this more than I talked about any of the other books because this is probably one of the first ones. Well, I guess Tokyo Alien Bros was the number one and I didn't know too much about that, but at least had kind of a sense of the mangaka. I had no sense of this at all. This is like completely new to me. I don't think I've ever read anything like this. Not saying it is like the most original thing I've ever read, but also like it's just outside of my wheelhouse. Anyway, I would give this probably a good 7.5 out of 10. It is not world breaking. It is like a little bit goofy. I'm not gonna lie. It's not gonna be for everyone, but those who like it will probably like it a whole lot. Anyway, pick it up if you feel like this would fit inside of your wheelhouse. I was a little surprised by it, and I think it will fit inside of mine because I loves me some isekai. Okay, so what did you guys think of the manga that I read? If I had to pick a favorite, it's probably going to be Hirayasumi Volume 2. Just thought it was a great continuation of what we read in Volume 1. Nice, tidy writing. Felt really good to read. I felt like I got a really good understanding of the characters reading that particular volume. I'm really excited to read Volume 3 and whatever else comes from it. But I thought they were all relatively good books, to be honest. One thing I did forget to mention that kind of stuck in my head after I recorded that section was that in Heroine Saint, No, I'm Always Works Maid and Proud of It, there's actually even a little magical girl kind of scene where she kind of suits up into her maid gear. It's so odd. Story's so odd, but it's also very cool. Anyway, but let me know down in the comments which one you enjoyed or if you have any manga that you would recommend for me to read, whether I already own it or it's something maybe I should pick up. Let me know down in the comments. I'm always looking for more interesting things to read. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this really chill kind of studio vibe setup. Usually I'm a bit more energetic and kind of, I don't know, out there in my videos, but today I was feeling a little bit more chill. This is a little bit more cozy vibes. I got my scarf on, you know, it's a little chilly in here, so I'm just chilling. Anyway, do all the YouTuber things. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know that you fucks with your boy the long way, you feel me? And look, it really helps support the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing, so go ahead and click all those buttons, man. Let me know that you fucks with me. Anyway, I will be back again next week with another video. I think I want to continue doing this. The way I will probably format these, either I will drop them like just whenever I complete them, because I can see myself doing this more often. It's a good way for me to read more manga myself, but also a good way for me to like have some good content that I give you guys, something that's like helpful when you're looking for books, or maybe have looked at books that I've picked up over the last few months and you're trying to figure out what I thought of them or if they're any good. I think this is a good supplement to that, so I want to do these pretty often, but they will either be the video for that week or I will just like kind of drop it randomly alongside of the video for that particular week, because these are not like that hard to do, to be honest. Like, just a little bit of editing and they're good to go. So hopefully you will find these useful. I actually had a good time making it, and it's not that difficult to make. So hope you guys really enjoy this. Anyway, until next time, like I always say, let's continue to talk about the things that we like, the things that we don't, and everything in between. And until next time, peace.